crystal Vanguard Award caught the morning light as I placed it on my desk. I should have been celebrating. Instead, my hand trembled as I cleared out my office, Reed Thatcher's words still burning in my ears. "You've become too ambitious for your own good, Avery. Effective immediately, you're terminated." My throat tightened as I remembered his smirk. Just yesterday, I'd made history as the youngest recipient of the Vanguard Innovation Award for designing Aura, a revolutionary device helping the visually impaired navigate the world. Today, I was nobody. Security waited by the door, watching as I packed my belongings into a cardboard box. My team avoided eye contact as I walked out of LuxTech's gleaming headquarters. The glass doors hissed shut behind me with disturbing finality. In the taxi home, my phone buzzed with congratulatory messages about the award. None of them knew I'd been fired hours after receiving it. I stared out the window, my reflection distorted by raindrops. "This isn't over," I whispered to myself. Not by a long shot. My fingers tightened around the award. Reed had just made the biggest mistake of his life, and he didn't even know it yet. My apartment felt cold and empty. I placed the Vanguard Award on my kitchen counter and stared at it, trying to make sense of what had happened. One day I'm LuxTech's golden child. The next I'm escorted out like a criminal. Something wasn't adding up. I opened my laptop and tried to access the team's shared folder out of habit. "Access denied" flashed on the screen. No surprise there. I scrolled through the folder history anyway. My last message about finalizing Aura's UI had been deleted by admin override. That's when I noticed it, a tiny irregularity in the access log. Someone had been in our system at 3 a.m. 2 weeks ago. Someone with top-level clearance. I pulled open my desk drawer and removed a small black USB drive hidden beneath a stack of notebooks. My hand hovered over the laptop. Using this backdoor to LuxTech's systems would violate every corporate policy. If caught, I'd face serious legal consequences. But they'd already taken everything from me. What more did I have to lose? I plugged in the drive. A simple command prompt appeared. I typed in the access code I'd built into their system during my first month as lead developer. No one knew about this backdoor, not even my team. It was my insurance policy, one I never thought I'd need to use. The code flowed across my screen as my fingers danced over the keyboard. I'd built half of LuxTech's infrastructure. Getting into their shadow servers wasn't hard when you knew the architecture inside out. The clock showed 2:13 a.m. when I finally breached the firewall. I navigated carefully, avoiding trigger points that might alert security. That's when I saw it, a secure, encrypted file labeled Project Skylight Transfer V2 Want Scores CN. CN, China? My heartbeat quickened. I clicked on it, but a second encryption layer blocked me. Why would Aura files need double encryption? I was about to try another approach when my doorbell rang. I froze, checking the clock, almost 3 a.m. Who could be here? Paranoia flooded my system. Had LuxTech somehow tracked me? I closed my laptop, slid it under a couch cushion, and crept to the door. Through the peephole, I saw a familiar face. Kai, my former teammate, stood in the hallway looking nervous and exhausted. His presence could mean only one thing: trouble. I wondered if I could trust him. He'd been silent during my firing, just like everyone else. But Kai had always been different, quieter, more observant. He had also been the only one who truly understood the complexity of Aura's code besides me. I took a deep breath and opened the door. "You shouldn't be here," I said, opening the door just enough to see Kai's face. His eyes were ringed with dark circles. "I had to warn you," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. "Something's wrong at LuxTech." I let him in, watching as he paced my living room. "Reed moved up Aura's launch," Kai said. "It's happening next week. The timeline makes no sense. We're skipping 3 testing phases." "Why the rush?" I asked. "I don't know, but ever since you were fired, Reed's been acting strange. Claudia's suddenly in all the executive meetings." Claudia was my mentor, the one person I trusted at LuxTech. "I suspected something was off," I said carefully. "Reed's hiding something about Aura." Kai nodded, running his hand through his hair. "I should have spoken up when Reed started sidelining you in meetings. I was a coward." I studied him, considering my options. "Do you still have your access credentials?" His eyes widened. "Yes." "Why?" "Because we're going to find out what they're really doing with my work." He hesitated, then pulled out his company laptop. "If they catch us, I'll lose my job too." If what I suspect is true, I replied, your job is already gone. You just don't know it yet. My living room became our war room. Kai's login gave us deeper access than my back door. We worked through the night, digging through hidden directories and encrypted messages. By dawn, we'd uncovered a trail of offshore accounts linked to Reed, strange transfers dating back months. Look at this. Kai pointed at a transaction log. $2 million from an account in Shenzhen, right after your firing. My hands trembled as I connected the dots. He's selling Aura. That's why he needed me gone. I'm the only one who could prove it's my IP. But we still lacked concrete proof linking Reed directly to the theft. We needed something undeniable, something that would stand up in court. There's one place we haven't checked, I said, typing furiously. The backup servers for executive meetings. Those are air-gapped, Kai warned. We can't access them remotely. I smiled thinly. Not remotely, no, but I helped design the system. I know exactly how to get what we need. I looked at my Vanguard Award, glinting in the morning light. They want a show? I'll give them a show they'll never forget. Kai looked worried. Avery, what exactly are you planning? This is heading into dangerous territory. Dangerous for Reed, I said, my voice hardening. I'm going to take back what's mine. Your idea won't work, Avery. Reed's voice echoed in my memory. I was standing in the boardroom 3 months earlier, pitching Aura for the first time. Blind navigation through audio cues? Too niche, not marketable. His dismissive wave had silenced the room. I remembered clutching my prototype, knowing it could change lives. Reed had smirked, turning to the other executives. Let's focus on products people actually want. My cheeks had burned with anger and embarrassment. Back in my apartment, I pulled up an old audio recording of that meeting. I'd recorded all our sessions for my notes, totally legal in our state. Scrolling through more recent files, I found a Bay Zoom call where Reed spoke to someone in Mandarin. My Mandarin was rusty, but I understood enough. The girl won't be a problem anymore. The timestamp. The day before I was fired. My hands shook with fury. Reed hadn't just stolen my work. He'd planned my removal all along, treating me like an obstacle rather than the creator of LuxTech's most valuable innovation. Kai, I called. I think I found our smoking gun. He hurried over, listened to the recording, his face growing pale. This is serious, Avery. They're selling American technology to a foreign competitor. Not just any technology, I corrected. My technology. I played the recording again, listening to Reed's cold calculation. Each word fueled my determination. This wasn't just about my career anymore. This was about justice. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I designed a digital kill switch for Aura's live demo. It had to be perfect, undetectable until triggered, yet devastating when activated. I embedded it deep in the UI, invisible to anyone who didn't know exactly where to look. No standard security scan would find it. Are you sure about this? Kai asked, watching over my shoulder. Reed stole my life's work, I replied, not looking up. He's not going to profit from it. The kill switch was elegant in its simplicity. When activated, it would override the demo presentation with evidence of Reed's betrayal. The offshore accounts, the stolen IP, everything we'd discovered, all streamed live to the audience and the press. They've started the launch preparations, Kai said, checking his phone. Reed's holding rehearsals all weekend. I nodded, feeling a cold determination settle over me. Perfect. That gives us time to prepare our surprise. I saved the kill switch code onto an encrypted drive, then handed Kai a duplicate. If anything happens to me, make sure this gets to the press. His eyes widened. Avery, what are you planning? I smiled grimly. Justice. He studied my face. The Avery I knew wouldn't risk everything for revenge. The Avery you knew still had something to lose, I replied. Reed changed that. The dummy files are ready, Kai said, his voice tense over the phone. We'd created fake Aura documentation with tiny embedded trackers, digital breadcrumbs that would reveal who accessed them and from where. Kai uploaded them to his work account, making them look like routine development notes. 6 hours later, our trap was triggered. Someone had accessed the files from an untraceable VPN. The system logs showed the action originated from Reed's executive access pathway. Got him, I whispered, as I cloned the access path directly to the offshore server. Data flooded my screen. Emails, contracts, bank details. Reed had been planning this for months. The pieces fell into place. Reed was selling Aura's technology to a Chinese competitor called Vision Point. My name was nowhere in their documentation. According to their records, Reed was Aura's sole creator. He's erased me completely, I told Kai, my voice hollow. They're launching in a week with my technology, and no one will ever know I existed. Until now, Kai replied, we have enough to prove the theft. I shook my head. Not yet. We need Reed to incriminate himself. And I know exactly how to make that happen. I started drafting an anonymous tip to a tech journalist I'd met at the award ceremony, someone known for breaking stories about corporate misconduct. The bait was set. Now we just needed Reed to take it. The email from LuxTech's legal department arrived exactly as I expected. Subject: Notice of NDA violation and cease and desist. They claimed I'd breached my non-disclosure agreement by accessing company systems after termination. Attached was a copy of a non-compete agreement with my signature at the bottom. There's just one problem, I told Kai, zooming in on the document. I never signed this. Kai studied the signature. It looks real. It's a forgery, I said. Look at the stroke pattern on the Y in my name. I always loop it back. This one cut straight down. Kai's eyes widened. Someone faked your signature? That's a felony. I dug deeper into the document's metadata. The file had been created 3 days after I was fired, but the signature date was from my first week at LuxTech. The timestamp doesn't match the creation date, I said. And look who approved the final version. Board-level access. Reed? Kai whispered. I smiled coldly. Another nail in his coffin? He's getting sloppy. I drafted a carefully worded response to legal, not denying or confirming anything, just requesting verification of all relevant documentation. A delaying tactic while we gathered more evidence. We're getting closer, I told Kai, but we need the final piece. And what's that? He asked, looking increasingly nervous about our plan. Reed's public confession, I replied, and he's going to give it to us at the launch. The system logs revealed something startling. 2 weeks ago, an admin override had altered Aura's core code. Someone had systematically removed my digital fingerprints, changing authorship records on thousands of files. But they'd missed something crucial: the build signatures embedded in the compiler timestamps. Those couldn't be altered without completely rebuilding the system. Reed tried to erase me from Aura's history, I explained to Kai, but the code itself proves I built it. I worked through the night, reconstructing the development timeline with irrefutable evidence of my authorship. Then I did something Reed would never expect. I rewrote parts of Aura's final build, embedding a watermark that would be impossible to remove. What does the watermark do? Kai asked. It's a digital signature that links back to my original work, I explained. If they try to remove it, the entire system crashes. If they leave it, it proves the technology is mine. They'll never see it coming. Kai said, shaking his head in admiration. I closed my laptop, exhausted but satisfied. Reed thinks he's brilliant, but he's just a thief in an expensive suit, and thieves always make mistakes. Kai handed me a cup of coffee. You haven't slept in 2 days, Avery. I took the mug gratefully. I'll sleep when Reed's in handcuffs. I'm sending these files to Ella Reyes, I told Kai, referring to a well-respected tech journalist known for exposing corporate misconduct. I used an encrypted email account under the alias Nova, attaching carefully sanitized evidence of the IP theft. Enough to interest her, but not enough to expose our hand. Hours later, Ella replied, Interesting claims, Nova, but I need more than circumstantial evidence. Can you prove Reed Thatcher intended to steal and sell this technology? I stared at her message, frustration mounting. She was right. Everything we had could be explained away as normal business operations. We needed Reed's explicit admission of wrongdoing, his intent to steal my work and sell it offshore. I'll need to draw him out, I told Kai. How? You can't exactly walk back into LuxTech and ask him to confess. I opened a new document and began typing the framework for my final plan, a video expose that would air during Aura's launch. He doesn't need to confess to me, I explained. He just needs to think he's safe enough to brag about it. I worked through the night, preparing the trap that would force Reed to reveal his true nature to the world. Kai looked at my exhausted face. You're going to burn yourself out before we even get to the launch. I've waited my entire career for a breakthrough like Aura, I replied. I'm not letting Reed take that from me. You can't let Reed get to you, Claudia had told me 6 months ago, after he'd torn apart my presentation in front of the entire product team. We sat in her office, where I was fighting back tears of frustration. He does this to everyone, she'd assured me, her hand on my shoulder. It's just his way of pushing people. He doesn't do it to everyone, I'd argued. Just to me. She'd smiled, her eyes crinkling behind her glasses. That's because he sees your potential. Reed may not appreciate you now, but this company will be yours someday. Just be patient. The memory faded as I sat at my kitchen table, reviewing the evidence against Reed. Had Claudia really believed what she told me? Or had she been keeping me complacent while Reed stole my work? I closed my eyes, remembering her encouraging words, her mentorship. Then I thought of Reed's smug face as he fired me. Someday is now, I whispered, opening my eyes with renewed determination. It was time to take back what was mine. I pulled up recent email logs and searched for Claudia's name. What I found made my stomach drop. Dozens of messages between her and Reed about managing Avery's expectations. They had been working together all along. My mentor, my confidant, had been watching me for him. I found something weird, Kai said, forwarding me an internal LuxTech memo. The subject line read, Transfer Partner Meeting, Confidential. Most of the email was generic corporate language, but one line stood out. Final payment confirmation pending demonstration of full functionality. Attached was a redacted document with just a bank routing code visible at the bottom. I ran the numbers through a financial database. It's a corporate account in Shenzhen, I told Kai. Registered to Vision Point Technologies. The Chinese firm? Kai asked. Are they buying Aura? Not buying, I corrected. Stealing, with Reed's help. I pulled up Vision Point's website. Their CEO was giving a keynote the same week as Aura's launch, promising a revolutionary announcement. They're planning to unveil their version right after LuxTech launches Aura, I realized. They'll claim they developed the same technology independently. That's why Reed rushed the timeline, Kai said. He's selling your work to 2 different companies at once. I clenched my fists. We need to move faster. The launch is in 3 days. That night, I made my final preparations. Reed Thatcher was about to learn that ambition cuts both ways. Do you think we could get the FBI involved? Kai asked. This is corporate espionage. After the launch, I replied. Right now, we need public exposure first. No chance for this to get buried in legal proceedings. The satellite server room was exactly as I remembered it, humming with quiet power, bathed in the blue glow of status lights. I'd designed this backup system myself, insisting on physical separation from the main network as a security measure. Now, that separation was my greatest ally. Using Kai's badge and the access codes he'd provided, I slipped in during the night shift change. Security cameras would show nothing. I'd looped their feed for 20 minutes, plenty of time for what I needed. I connected directly to the backup storage and began downloading weeks of security footage. That's when I found it. Video from Reed's office 3 weeks ago. He was reviewing payment installments on his private monitor, speaking to someone off-camera about Phase 1 completion. As I prepared to disconnect, something caught my eye. A log entry showing Claudia's credentials accessing Reed's private server. My heart sank. Could my mentor be involved? I quickly dismissed the thought. Claudia had always supported me. She probably had legitimate reasons to access those files. I pocketed the drive and slipped out, leaving no trace of my visit. Outside in the cool night air, I took a deep breath. One more piece of the puzzle was in place. The security guard nodded as I walked past. My fake IT badge had worked perfectly. He had no idea that beneath my plain clothes and baseball cap was the person who would bring down the company's CEO in just 2 days. This is explosive, Ella Reyes wrote after receiving my partial exposé. Reed Thatcher selling American IP to Chinese competitors? The tech community will implode. Her article hit the next morning. Vague enough to protect my identity, but specific enough to create waves. LuxTech scandal was trending within hours. Reed issued a generic denial, calling the allegations baseless and irresponsible. The distraction was perfect. While LuxTech's PR team scrambled, I finalized my kill switch implementation. I tested it remotely on a mirror of Aura's demo system. It worked flawlessly, ready to activate during the launch event. Getting attention, but we need more, Ella messaged later. If you show up at the launch, we'll be watching. Front row. The pieces were falling into place. I'd created enough public speculation to ensure media scrutiny of the launch, but not enough to tip my full hand to Reed. Now I just needed to deliver the killing blow, live in front of the world. I pressed enter, triggering a test run of the kill switch. On my screen, Aura's sleek interface flickered, then overlaid with the evidence I'd compiled. Perfect. It's ready, I told Kai. Tomorrow, we end this. Are you nervous? He asked, his own voice shaking slightly. No, I replied, surprised to find it was true. I'm just ready for the truth to come out. My phone vibrated with an unexpected name. Claudia. I hesitated before answering. Avery, where have you been? Her voice sounded concerned, but something felt off. Everyone's talking about these allegations. I've been around, I said carefully. This whole situation is terrible, she continued. Being fired right after your award, I've been meaning to reach out. Have you? I kept my tone neutral. Listen, I can talk to Reed, maybe smooth things over. This isn't good for anyone. I nearly laughed. The launch was hours away, and now she wanted to help? Thanks, Claudia. I appreciate the thought. After we hung up, I stared at my phone, replaying her words. Why reach out now? Was she genuinely concerned, or fishing for information? I remembered the log showing her credentials in Reed's server. My phone buzzed with a text notification. Using a program I'd created, I'd gained access to Reed's messages. A new one appeared, from Claudia to Reed, just seconds after our call ended. She's still out there, wouldn't say where. My blood ran cold. Claudia wasn't my mentor. She was Reed's spy. I showed the message to Kai, whose face darkened. I always thought she genuinely cared about your career. So did I said quietly. That's what made her so effective. The morning of the launch, I transformed myself. Gone was the ponytailed programmer in hoodies. I wore a sleek black blazer over a simple white shirt, hair pulled back in a professional bun, minimal makeup highlighting my determined eyes. In my bag, 3 hidden cameras, a directional microphone, and the kill switch trigger device. Across town, Kai entered LuxTech through the employee entrance. His job, plant a tracker on Reed's presentation tablet and confirm the AV system was vulnerable to my override. Security's tight, he texted. They've added extra personnel. Stick to the plan, I replied. I'm heading in now. My heart pounded as I approached LuxTech's grand auditorium. Press and industry guests formed a long line at the entrance. I joined them, adjusting my fake media badge. Courtesy of a college friend who worked at a local tech blog. Name? The security guard asked, barely glancing at my ID. Emma Chen, Tech Today, I replied smoothly. He waved me through. Inside, the auditorium buzzed with anticipation. I spotted Ella Reyes in the front row, checking her recording equipment. Our eyes met briefly. She gave an almost imperceptible nod. I was in. I scanned the room, looking for familiar faces. None of my former teammates would recognize me with my new appearance. I was counting on that anonymity. For the next hour, I was just another journalist, here to witness what everyone thought would be LuxTech's crowning achievement. The auditorium lights dimmed precisely at noon. Excited whispers rippled through the crowd as dramatic music swelled. I sat in the middle section, 7 rows back, close enough to see everything, far enough to remain inconspicuous. My finger hovered over the trigger device in my pocket. Countdown to launch in 30 minutes, a computerized voice announced. Technical staff scurried around the stage, making final adjustments to the massive display screens. Reed would be backstage now, practicing his speech one last time, oblivious to what awaited him. Kai texted from his position near the audio-visual control room. Tracker planted. Kill switch route confirmed. You're good to go. I scanned the room, noticing Claudia seated in the VIP section, checking her watch nervously. Had she spotted me? I doubted it. The auditorium was packed with hundreds of people. A technician paused near the main server junction, frowning at his tablet. Something had caught his attention. Perhaps an anomaly in the system caused by my intrusion. He spoke urgently into his radio. My heart rate spiked as he gestured toward the control booth. Security alert at Junction 5, he said. Possible system irregularity. I clutched the trigger tighter. They were onto something, but they wouldn't find my kill switch in time. The countdown had begun. Should we abort? Kai texted, clearly having overheard the security chatter. No, I replied. It's now or never. Reed Thatcher strode onto the stage amid thunderous applause. radiating confidence in his perfectly tailored suit. The same suit he'd worn when he fired me. "Today, LuxTech revolutionizes accessibility technology forever," he announced, his voice booming through the speakers. "After years of development by our incredible team, I'm proud to present Aura." The crowd applauded again. I sat motionless, watching Reed gesture dramatically as promotional videos played behind him. My work, my vision, my sleepless nights, all claimed by this fraud in front of cheering crowds. Aura represents everything LuxTech stands for: innovation, excellence, and vision, Reed continued. "And now, I'm thrilled to show you Aura in action." He turned toward the main screen, pressing a button on his tablet. "Initiating Aura demonstration in 3, 2, 1. I took a deep breath and pressed my trigger. For a split second, nothing happened. Then the massive screen flickered. Reed tapped his tablet, confusion crossing his face. The screen flickered again, then went black. Reed stammered. "We seem to be experiencing a minor technical." The screen abruptly came back to life, but not with the planned demonstration. Instead, my video began to play. "Hello, Reed." My recorded voice echoed through the auditorium. "Ready for the real show?" Gasps rippled through the audience. Reed froze mid-sentence, his expression shifting from confusion to horror. Stunned silence filled the auditorium as my exposé unfolded on the giant screen. First came the offshore account records, transactions between Reed and Vision Point, dated payments, contract details. Then my erased authorship history, showing how Reed had systematically removed my name from all Aura documentation. The most damning evidence came last. Reed's own voice, captured the day he fired me. "We need her gone before the deal closes," he'd said to someone off camera. "Her award complicates things, but once she's out, the IP transfer can proceed as planned." Gasps rippled through the audience. Journalists frantically took notes and photos. Security personnel stood frozen, unsure what to do. On stage, Reed's face had turned ashen. He lunged for his tablet, desperately trying to stop the broadcast. In the VIP section, Claudia rose quickly, heading for a backstage exit. Too late, the cameras had already caught her panicked reaction. I stood up slowly from my seat, walking deliberately down the center aisle. People turned to stare as I approached the stage. Reed saw me and froze, recognition dawning in his eyes. Our gazes locked, his filled with fury and fear, mine calm and resolute. The student he'd dismissed, the innovator he'd betrayed, the woman he'd called too ambitious. I stopped at the foot of the stage and smiled. "Remember me?" I asked, my voice carrying through the now silent auditorium. Chaos erupted. Journalists swarmed toward the stage, shouting questions. Security guards surrounded Reed, unsure whether to protect him or detain him. On my phone, notifications exploded as the live feed went viral. Aura fraud and LuxTech scandal dominated every platform within minutes. "The IP theft allegations are confirmed," Ella Reyes announced, live streaming from her position. "Avery Cole, Aura's true creator, has just exposed one of the biggest technology heists in Silicon Valley history." Reed grabbed a microphone, desperate to regain control. This is a disgruntled ex-employee with fabricated evidence. Security, remove her." Before anyone could react, Claudia pushed through the crowd and seized another mic. "This is all a misunderstanding," she insisted, her voice strained. "LuxTech values all its creators. What you're seeing lacks context." I stepped forward, my own microphone ready. "Funny how your login credentials appeared during the IP transfer, Claudia. Were you Reed's accomplice from the beginning, or did you join later?" The room fell silent as all eyes turned to Claudia. Her composure cracked, sweat beading on her forehead. "I was just following instructions," she stammered. "The board approved everything." It was the confession I'd been waiting for. Someone in the crowd shouted, "So you admit there was a transfer?" Claudia realized her mistake too late. The damage was done. "She told me to keep an eye on you," Claudia blurted, her careful image crumbling under the pressure of dozens of cameras. "I never meant for it to go this far." The crowd murmured as Claudia continued her unraveling confession. "Reed promised me a board seat if I helped secure the IP transfer. My job was to mentor you, to make sure you felt valued while we prepared." Her words struck like physical blows. All those coffee meetings, the career advice, the trust me moments, all calculated manipulation. "You were supposed to be my mentor," I said, my voice carrying through the stunned auditorium. "I was," she insisted, But Reed said your success threatened the company. Your award made everything complicated. On stage, Reed's face contorted with rage. "Shut up, Claudia," he shouted, but it was too late. Security personnel converged on the stage as Claudia continued her meltdown. Reed lunged for an exit but was blocked by 2 guards. Moments later, police officers entered from the rear of the auditorium. "Reed Thatcher?" one officer called. "We have some questions regarding alleged intellectual property theft and wire fraud." Reed's last glimpse of freedom ended with handcuffs and a humiliating escort past the audience he'd hoped would worship him. Watching him being led away, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Vindication, yes, but also sadness for what could have been if he'd simply valued my contribution instead of trying to steal it. The tech world buzzed for weeks. Luxtech's stock plummeted 40% in 2 days. Board members resigned en masse, claiming ignorance of Reed's schemes. Industry leaders denounced corporate espionage while privately checking their own vulnerability to similar exposés. I watched it all unfold from the quiet of my new workspace, a converted warehouse with high ceilings and abundant natural light. My legal team had moved swiftly, filing ironclad IP claims that were quickly upheld by the courts. Aura was officially mine again. Nova Systems secures record seed funding, read the headline on my laptop screen. Investors had lined up after witnessing my technical brilliance and courage. More importantly, I maintained complete control of my creation. My phone buzzed with messages from former Luxtech colleagues, hoping to join my new venture. I considered each carefully. Loyalty mattered now more than ever. Kai entered with coffee. "Ready for the developer meeting? The team's waiting." I nodded, closing the news tab. The scandal's fallout would continue for months, but my focus had shifted forward. I had a company to build and a vision to realize. On my desk, a simple frame held a newspaper clipping. "Tech inventor reclaims stolen innovation." Beside it sat my Vanguard Award, a reminder of where I'd been and how far I'd come. "By the way," Kai added, "they denied Reed bail. The federal charges are sticking." I nodded. Justice was being served, but that wasn't my focus anymore. 6 months later, I stood in Nova Systems' bright central workspace. 30 brilliant engineers, people I'd personally selected for both talent and integrity, worked collaboratively around the room. No glass offices, no hierarchy, no secrets. Aura 2.0 launches tomorrow, Kai reminded me, now my official CTO. The pre-orders exceeded projections by 300%. I nodded, pride swelling in my chest. The new version was everything I'd originally envisioned, sleeker, smarter, and truly revolutionary for visually impaired users. Early testers reported life-changing results. The visual walkthrough videos get more emotional every time, Emma, our marketing director, added. People literally crying when they realize what Aura can do for them. This was why I'd fought so hard. Not for revenge or vindication, though those felt good too. I'd fought because Aura mattered. It changed lives. On my desk sat the unbroken Vanguard Award, a symbol both of past trials and future promises. Beside it, a new plaque displayed our company motto, "Ambition builds worlds." I gathered my team for our daily check-in. Unlike Reed, I believed in transparency and shared credit. Every person here knew their value. Every voice mattered. "Let's make tomorrow spectacular," I told them. "Show the world what real innovation looks like." The call came during launch preparations. My assistant's voice was terse. "Reed Thatcher is trying to reach you from prison. His lawyer says it's about a mutually beneficial arrangement." I glanced at my phone screen showing the blocked number. 3 months into his sentence, Reed was already looking for deals. Typical. "Tell them I'm unavailable," I replied, permanently. 30 minutes later, I stood backstage at the grandest tech keynote of the year. The auditorium buzzed with anticipation. Industry leaders, accessibility advocates, and media filled every seat. Screens showed packed viewing parties across 6 continents. Kai gave me a thumbs up from the wings. "Sold out in 17 countries already," he whispered, "and the launch hasn't even started." I smoothed my blazer, the same one I'd worn to Luxtech's disastrous event, now a good luck charm. The host's voice boomed through the speakers. "Please welcome the founder and CEO of Nova Systems, Vanguard Award winner Avery Cole." Stepping into the spotlight, I felt a calm confidence that had been hard-won through betrayal and vindication. The crowd rose in a standing ovation before I'd said a word. I smiled at the sea of faces, remembering Reed's final insult that had become my greatest strength. They said I was too ambitious, I began. They were right.